Spreadsheets in 5 simple steps, kind of. This is a big picture demonstration. If you want specific instructions on how to use Excel, that will be a different set of videos. And I tried really hard to, I made this. I got a royalty-free graphic and I made it. And then I tried 4 AIs this morning, I will have you know, to see if it could make it look nice for me. And 4 of them said, I can't do it. And I asked one of them, why not? And it said, I don't know, we keep changing. So that's what you get. But what you wanted to know is how is it to make a spreadsheet anyway? I know how to move from cell to cell and I know how to type in but how do I make this spreadsheet? And you can listen to me or not, just like the computer programming coding students, but I'm telling you that the first thing you need to do is sit down with your little piece of paper and your pen or pencil's better, and figure out what it is that you're trying to do with your spreadsheet. And you can pause me. I'm not reading these to you. You pause me and you can look it up. You ignore my suggestion at your folly. So my goal of my spreadsheet is how much sales did we have last year for each category of computers, my computer sales company, we sell computer stuff, and for each method of sales. So we sell in person, we sell online, and so on. Okay, and then I want to know the individual amounts and the totals. Ready to start making the spreadsheet. So I'm going to go create the title, and usually there's a subtitle. I have to put the column headings and the row headings, and then I'll have to put some calculations later and a chart at the end. Okay, let's see what we can do. I debated about fast, slow. You can change the speed of me and you can rewind. So what you see is what you get. So here's the name of my company. It's called, I should call it Masood. Masood's Computer Discount Store. And I typed it all the way across. And if you don't know why I did that and why does it look like that, then you have to go watch the other videos. I'm not explaining it now. And I already typed in annual sales. And if we look back at my chart, I had computer sales category and monitors and printers and software. And I want to get a total of, okay, so totals, okay, or total. And then how do I sell? I sell by mail order, I sell by phone, and I sell by web, say. Okay, and I want totals for all of those. So I have fleshed out the skeleton of my spreadsheet. Let's go back and do the formatting now. And if you don't know this, what I'm doing, that means you have to watch the other videos, okay? So I'm just going to blast through it. First thing I'll do is in row 1, I'm going to go to merge and center. So it would be one big cell with that writing in the middle. And then I'm going to choose a style for it. I could do it by hand, but there are some reasons to use styles you don't know yet, which is okay. And so we're just trying to get you the habit of using styles now. Anyway, they're pre-made. You don't have to work as hard. Although maybe I'll make it blue, maybe blue. And then you have to do the second row separately. You can't do 2 rows together. Otherwise, it makes one big cell. So here comes the second row, and I'm going to do the same thing. This is the subtitle, and I will, do I want to use a cell style? You know what? I'm just going to format it by hand and increase the font size. Yeah, like that. Okay. Now we come to row 3, and row 3 is the column headings. If you recall, the column headings tell you the categories of information, like months of the year or quarters of the year or days of the week or assignments for a grade book. And when we get them, that's like that. Okay, that's categories. You'll get the hang of it after a while. Right now, just follow along here. And I'm going to set this one as heading level 3 format If I did heading level 2, that line, it'd be a little bit too big and bulky. So I think heading 3 will work pretty well. You won't see the final format until you click off. And then let's go down and do the totals row at the bottom. And how do I know I need to do that? Because I've made 1,000 spreadsheets before. And this time I'm going to use the total style, which if you took accounting class makes perfect sense. And if you haven't had accounting class, then you'll wonder why we chose that. And it's because it's an accounting thing. Having done that now, that's enough. We're going to be ready to add in our, go to the next step and add in our data. Now we're going to type in the numbers, or it could be names, it could be anything, whatever the data is. Now, you can sometimes get away with it, but lots of times it's better to choose. Tell the computer what that cell has in it. Is it text? Is it a number? Is it a date? Is it whatever it is? If you tell the computer, then it can format it correctly. Technically, you can do this in either order. You can either, I lost my mouse here, you can either set the data type first and then type your numbers in and they'll look right away. Or you can type the numbers in plain and the computer won't know what they are. And you'll say, oh no, it's rounding my money. Well, then set the data type later and that works. Me, I set the data type first. But you can do it either way. So here I'm going to type in some numbers, okay? When I type the numbers, I do not type the comma. I only have to type the period if there's sense. If there's no sense, the computer will know, oh yeah, but first I'm going to format it. All of these cells are going to be money. If I go and choose currency, right now it's set for pounds or something, it looks like. Okay, how about English United States? If I do this, then as soon as I type in a number, and press the enter key, I didn't, no sense, okay? It's going to make the column wider and put a $sign. That'll make it a little bit easier for you, $sign. But when I do this one and I put another $sign, it gets pretty busy. If you have everything has a $sign. So instead what we might do is set the first row and maybe the last row, and I'm using that select one, press down and hold the control key and select the second set technique, which it didn't do because I let my finger up. There, use this technique. Notice that the first row and the last row now, if I choose accounting format, which it says accounting there, but I chose English, okay? They will have $signs. Now I'm going to select the interior cells, and instead of choosing accounting or accounting style that shows a $sign, I'm going to choose comma style, which you will see here with a big fat comma. And what that does is it puts you in a money format, but no $sign. So if I had, for example, in this cell, I'd say 20, only $2,000 worth, okay? $2,000.52. There's no $sign. Now you don't want to watch me fill in all the rest of the numbers, do you really? So one moment. And now I have all of my numbers in. Only the first row has $signs. The last row will have $signs, but that's a functions row. That's where we're going to have our sum formula, the sum function. So let's go see step 4 now. We're on step 4 out of 5. We're almost there. Step 4, we're going to add functions, more formats, conditional formatting, things like that. With giving me just a bunch of numbers is nice, but if I know how to interpret them, it makes a lot more sense. Every beginning student has trouble with this. A formula is just like math, except you don't write the number, you write the cell name, and then the computer does the math for you. Okay, but you still have to know what the formula should be. Anyway, a function then is it's a mini computer program that somebody wrote. It's a set of steps a computer will follow all by itself, and that's what we're going to use here. as for formatting, there are so many possibilities of changing the font or making the whole cell, the whole table. I'll show you that. Adding styles, which we already did. Adding conditional formatting, which is beyond this video, but something you might want to learn how to do. So let's put our totals in. Not always, but lots of times you'll have totals across the row. So what's the total mail order? What's the total telephone? What's the total web sales? And what are the total computer sales? What are the total monitor sales? What are the total printer sales? Okay, we'll do these first. Now, if you type a formula, you must type the equal sign to start, formula. If you're using a function, you could, I typically do, but I typically type the functions too. But we're going to use the button. So what we can do is go find the button that will help us get the sum, which means the answer when you add them all up. I know it was a long time ago since first grade. I understand. I changed back to the one row ribbon, and here on this formula bar, we have a function button. If you knew enough math, you know that fx means function. And oh, how handy. We want the sum function. And so we'll click sum and it will say, well, what numbers do you want to include? And we can then select. There are a lot of ways to do this. I'm going to show you one, okay? There are so many ways. I never do it this way. Okay, we selected the ones we want to use, and the computer said, let me put it here so you can see it. I think you want B4 to E4, and these are the numbers that you put in, okay? And we think the answer is, so do you want that? And I'll say, yeah, sure, I want that. Oh no, railroad tracks, railroad tracks, railroad tracks. Oh yes, the column is too narrow. I can either double click or click and drag. I double clicked. When you fill down, you go down to the fill handle. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch the other videos. When you go to the fill handle and fill down like that, it will do the formula for you correctly on every row. If you try to do them by hand, when you get to the third row, which would be this one, you'll be in trouble because the computer doesn't choose correctly. So just be aware of it. And I have to fix that. But oh, you know what? I want to put the totals row in here too. So let me go down and fill one more row down. I'm just having trouble with the mouse. Okay. And it can't do anything yet because I need to. There, widen the cells. But it says I don't have a totals. If you're an accounting major, it matters whether you do vertical for sums or horizontal sums for this class, whichever. So right now I have nothing, but let me go back and do these. Now I want the computer totals. So I'm going to click in the cell where I want it to go. And then I'm going to click the function that I want to use, which is still sum. And then I'll click next. And then I will select the cells I want to include. And then I'll hit the enter key. Yes, you can rewind it. And then I'm going to fill all the way across. And notice that this F7 totals, right now it shows the progressive totals. Watch it as I keep going across. And it gave you the final total. So now we have, that's all the statistics we're going to do this time. Do I want more format? You know, formatting. I don't know. Maybe I'd rather have these centered. Oh dear, one of these buttons will say centered. And I could make a style for the whole table. Did I not put the totals row over here? I thought I did that. Hold on just a second. I have to go find it on this single line ribbon. Yep, just like that. I could select all this and make a table style. I'm not going to. I'm trying to make this a fast video, right? Okay. So one more step. Last step, step 5 out of 5. Now we want to make a chart. Is a chart required? No. Is a chart usually used? Yes. Why? Because lots of people can make more sense out of a picture of something than they would be able to do out of a bunch of numbers sitting there beside each other. So we're going to make a chart. There are different kinds of charts. Each chart has its own best use. Yes, I have a video for it. Well, actually, I don't yet, but I will in just, maybe not today, maybe tomorrow. Anyway, so one thing though to know, when you make a chart, usually, almost always, usually, you only use either a set of totals, whichever set you want, a set of totals, or the insides, not both. Big mistake that lots of beginners make. Not both, one or the other. So let's go make a chart. I'm going to make one simple chart with the insides. I call it insides. I could call it data. You might get confused, because you don't use those terms every day. So I say the insides. I'm going to include, though, the headings across the column headings, not the total. And I'm going to include all of the three kinds of ordering methods we have, not the totals. And now I can go up and then I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. It'll be easier to see. I'm going to insert a chart. Well, I don't know. They got all kinds of charts. What kind of chart do you want? Now, it can recommend a chart type for you. You see the pictures? And actually, I think this is the kind that I want. So I'll insert this chart. It's going to draw it and place it somewhere. Lots of times it puts it right over top of the numbers, and I'll go to the border and drag it back into place. Oh, how did I lose everything and I got only one set? Wait, here, one more try. Here. I mean, that would have been a good chart too, but happens that wasn't what I wanted to show you. I was going to show you this kind of chart, and once I have it selected, you see it sitting over top of my numbers, I can add a chart title. I can make it 3D. I can do everything you wanted to have done, but notice that my headings here indicate match my column headings. You see? Look, computers, computers, monitors, monitors, and the mail order, telephone, web matches my row headings. If you don't have your axes identified and in a legend, then you didn't select the right cells. Do you want more practice? I would be glad to provide you more practice. But in the meantime, here are 5 simple steps to a good spreadsheet. And here were those 5 steps. First, plan it on paper first, please. After a while, you won't have to, always, but sometimes. Enter the skeleton of the data, set it the skeleton of the spreadsheet, then fill in the data, then add your functions, your formatting, your conditional formatting, whatever, and finally add the chart, 1 chart, 5 charts, whatever it takes. Okay? That didn't seem so bad, did it? You have to practice. But you can do this. You can do this. You can show me your results too.